The secrets behind nail biting. An estimated 30 to 60% of children and adolescents engage in nail biting. It is estimated that at least 30% of individuals continue this habit into adulthood. Many people find nail biting to be an embarrassing habit that persists throughout their lives. I myself have struggled with nail biting for 50 years and can relate to the difficulty of breaking this habit. This article is very personal to me. A few curious facts: nail biters are more often male than female after age 10, and individuals with a higher rate of intelligence tend to bite their nails more than those of less intelligence. Onychophagia, or onychophagy, is considered a pathological oral habit and grooming disorder characterized by chronic, seemingly uncontrollable nail biting that is destructive to fingernails and the surrounding tissue. Tom Cruise, Eva Mendes, Elijah Wood, Britney Spears, Phil Collins, Andy Roddick, and Princess Diana are all nail chewers. Nail biting has often been stigmatized and viewed as dirty or disgusting. Children and teenagers who engage in this behavior may face criticism, ridicule, and even punishment. I personally experienced this as a child when my mother tried to deter me from nail biting by coating my fingers in horseradish, mustard, and a substance called brilliant green, which is typically used to treat cuts and scrapes. The green color of the substance does not wash off easily and can stain the skin for several days. My mother sent me to school with the Grinch green fingers in an attempt to shame me into stopping the habit. It was wintertime, so I had to wear gloves to cover up my green fingers, which only added to my embarrassment. When I returned home, I bit my nails and the skin around them until they bled in an effort to cope with the emotional pain I was feeling. My mother stopped using brilliant green on me after seeing this, but she continued to shame and belittle me for my nail-biting habit. This cycle of shame and nail-biting continued for years until it became a part of my identity. Chronic nail-biting is sometimes classified as a form of obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, as the person may have trouble stopping the behavior. In the United States, research has shown that approximately one-third of the population meets the clinical diagnostic criteria for at least one pathological grooming behavior, such as nail-biting. This is a surprising statistic, as it is higher than the rates of depression, anxiety, and alcohol abuse. Let's continue reading to learn more about the potential causes of nail biting and ways to stop it. There are several known causes of nail biting, including nervousness. Stress and anxiety can lead to nail biting, as it may provide a temporary calming effect on the nervous system. Emotions. Our emotional states can contribute to nail biting. For example, people with low self-esteem or who have experienced traumatic life events may turn to nail biting as a coping mechanism. Perfectionism. People with a high level of perfectionism may have a low tolerance for frustration, which they may try to alleviate by biting their nails. Imitation. Children may pick up the nail-biting habit by copying adult behavior. Psychosomatic. In some cases, nail-biting may be a manifestation of underlying emotional or psychological issues, particularly in individuals from aggressive families. Some researchers have suggested that nail biting, hair plucking, and skin picking may be considered mild forms of self-harm, which is the intentional injuring of oneself, often through cutting. According to this theory, nail biting may be a way for individuals to express hostility towards themselves. Here is a moment of truth. Nail biting is one of the first coping strategies for psychological trauma inflicted upon us in early childhood. The only way to break free from this type of behavior is to get to the root of it. It can be challenging to address the root cause of nail biting, particularly if it is related to early childhood experiences that are not easily remembered consciously. In these cases, hypnosis may be a useful tool for accessing and working through these memories. It is important to remember that overcoming any habit or behavior can be a process, and it may take time and effort to break the nail-biting cycle. If hypnosis is not an option, there are other techniques that may be helpful in overcoming nail biting, including meditation. This practice involves focusing the mind on a particular object, thought, or activity to train attention and awareness. Relaxation techniques. These techniques, such as deep breathing and progressive muscle relaxation, can help to reduce stress and anxiety. NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. This method involves changing the way we think and communicate in order to change our behavior. Reiki. This healing technique involves the transfer of energy from the practitioner to the recipient in order to promote relaxation and well-being. Emotional freedom technique, EFT, is an alternative treatment for physical pain and emotional distress. It's also referred to as tapping or psychological acupressure. Eye movement desensitization and reprocessing is a type of therapy that is used to treat a variety of mental health conditions, including post-traumatic stress disorder. EMDR involves the use of eye movements or other types of bilateral stimulation, such as tapping or auditory tones, to help process and resolve traumatic memories. Some people have found EMDR to be helpful in overcoming nail biting and other behaviors that are related to past trauma. If you are interested in exploring EMDR as a treatment option, it is important to work with a trained and qualified EMDR therapist. They can help you determine whether EMDR is a suitable treatment for your needs and assist you in using this method to address any underlying issues that may be contributing to your nail biting habit. Yoga. This practice involves physical postures, breathing techniques, and meditation in order to improve physical and mental well-being. Mindfulness. This involves paying attention to the present moment in a non-judgmental way, which can help to reduce stress and increase self-awareness. It is worth trying a few different techniques to see what works best for you or your child. It may also be helpful to seek support from a therapist or a support group as you work to overcome the nail biting habit. For young children under the age of 7 who bite their nails, the cause could often be related to their home environment and the behavior of their parents and caregivers. It's possible that the child has experienced something traumatic, stressful, or confining, and is using nail biting as a coping mechanism. If the child were an adult, they might turn to coping mechanisms like substance abuse or risky behaviors to numb out and dissociate from the pain. But since children don't have access to these types of coping strategies, they might engage in behaviors like nail biting, nose picking, or hair pulling instead. If these behaviors are met with criticism or attacks on the child's character, it can increase the frequency and severity of the nail biting. In some cases, the nail biting might become more frequent and severe and cause damage to the skin around the nails, which could indicate that the child is experiencing extreme pain and trauma. If a child's nail biting is accompanied by other behaviors that suggest they are coping with chronic, consistent, everyday trauma, it may be an indication that the child is experiencing ongoing stress and hardship. This may include issues such as abandonment, neglect, stress, conflict, violence within the family, emotional or physical isolation, and abuse of various kinds, including verbal, emotional and sexual abuse. It is important to recognize that children who are experiencing this type of trauma may be in need of support and assistance in order to cope with the challenges they are facing. If you are concerned about a child in this situation, it may be helpful to seek guidance from a therapist or other mental health professional who can provide support and guidance as the child learns to cope with the underlying issues. If you are an adult now and, especially if you are a parent, be mindful of the habits and behaviors that you model for your children. They may imitate your coping techniques, even if they have not experienced the same level of trauma or stress that you have. It is important to pay attention to your child's environment and experiences and observe their triggers without criticism. Look for patterns in their nail biting, such as whether it occurs while they are doing homework or in certain other circumstances. This can help identify potential triggers, such as fear of not performing well in school, high demands or expectations, punishment for poor grades, a stressful school environment, or bullying or discrimination. By understanding the root causes of your child's nail biting, you can take steps to address any underlying issues and help your child find more healthy ways to cope. It is common for children to bite their nails during seemingly relaxing activities like watching TV, attending performances, waiting in a doctor's office or other waiting room, traveling in a car or bus, or reading a book. It is a mistake to think that this behavior is due to boredom. In fact, the child may be experiencing a flashback to a traumatic experience, or something in the TV show, book, or music on the radio may have triggered the behavior. It is important to pay attention to the child's environment and experiences in order to understand the root causes of their nail biting and take steps to address any underlying issues. The human psyche is a complex and multi-layered structure that connects mental and biological processes through emotional connections. Many early experiences are stored unconsciously in areas of the brain that are not directly linked to recallable memories or verbalization. This can make it challenging to understand and address the root causes of certain behaviors, such as nail biting. However, with the help of a trained mental health professional, it may be possible to explore and work through these unconscious memories in order to overcome the habit. We have to consider the person as a whole, taking into account their unique experiences and circumstances. This is especially true when it comes to habits like nail biting, which may have deep-seated causes that are difficult to understand. If you are an adult who is struggling with nail biting, I suggest trying to visit your childhood memories. Use the impulse to bite your nails as an opportunity to travel back in time to the earliest memories you have of this behavior. Try to recall the feelings and circumstances associated with nail biting in your childhood. Remember, it is important to stay with these memories and not try to run away from them. Allow yourself to fully immerse in the experience of your inner child and try to reframe the initial event or situation that may have contributed to the habit. This can involve comforting and rescuing your inner child, if needed. This process may be difficult, but it can be a powerful way to gain insight and understanding into the root causes of your nail biting, and ultimately help you find ways to overcome the habit. Don't be surprised or disappointed if the event you recall doesn't appear to be traumatic from a typical standpoint. As I mentioned earlier, the root causes of nail biting can be complex and may not always be immediately apparent. It is important to keep an open mind and try to understand the impact that even seemingly minor events or experiences can have on our psychological well-being. If you would like to learn more about the impact of non-traumatic trauma on children, you may want to read my article on the subject. Here are some do's and don'ts to help you overcome the habit of nail biting. Do's: visit your childhood memories and use the impulse to bite your nails as an opportunity to travel back in time and understand the root causes of this behavior. Stay with your memories and don't try to run away from them. Practice positive self-talk with your younger self and try to reframe and rewrite the story of your experiences. Express your emotions and allow yourself to feel the anger, grief, and sadness that may be present. Consider working with a mental health professional to help you through this process. Don'ts: don't get discouraged if you don't see progress right away. Don't try to ignore or suppress your emotions. Don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. Consider working with a therapist, psychiatrist, or other mental health professional who can help you through this process. Feel free to contact me for personalized consultations at advice@newparenting.net or dial 888-857-8044. Remember, with patience and persistence, it is possible to make positive changes and overcome the habit of nail biting. It can be difficult to break a habit, especially if it has been reinforced over a long period of time and if you have experienced criticism and shame for it. However, it is important to remember that everyone has their own unique challenges and habits, and it is not helpful to criticize or shame someone for something that is a part of who they are. Remember, it is never too late to make positive changes in your life, and with patience and persistence, you can break the nail biting cycle. Contact me at advice@newparenting.net or dial 888-857-8044. An article by Ella Skye. Published by newparenting.net. 2023.